Welcome to this xM1 video series. In this video, we're going to talk about the structure of a Mifare Classic, how the xM1 and other UID changeable cards differ from the Mifare Classic, and also some other commands that you can be using with the Proxmark 3. Let's start by looking at the Mifare Classic. The Mifare Classic can come in two varieties, with either a 1K or 4K of memory. For these videos, we'll focus on the 1K version. Here you can see a dump of the Mifare Classic 1K card. This dump is taken from Adafruit's website and is a really good resource on there if you want to read more. But you can easily dump a card using the Proxmark if you need to. As you can see from the Mifare Classic 1K, it's split into 16 sectors of 4 blocks each. Remember, the numbering for both the sectors and the blocks starts at 0. Each one of the blocks contains 16 bytes, and each byte is shown as 2 hexadecimal characters. Over to the right here, you see an Ascii representation of the bytes, but this can be ignored for now. The Mifare Classic 1K is named appropriately because you have 64 bytes over 12 sectors, making 1024 bytes in total, or 1K. You're allowed to write to any data you wish from these top 3 blocks of any sector. You can't, however, write to the last block of each sector as container storage. So for example, you can write to these blocks here, but you wouldn't be able to write to these blocks here. This is because it is a special block known as a sector trailer. The sector blocks are comprised of 3 elements, key A being the first 6 bytes, then you have the access bits here being the next 4 bytes, and then you have another key, key B, being the last 6 bytes just here. These keys can be set to whatever you wish them to be, and they are themselves hidden. Here you can see key A is lots of zeros, and key B over here is comprised of all Fs. This is known as the default configuration, and often for new Mifare Classic cards, they'll be shipped with this key combination. If I were to change a key and you didn't know the key, you'd no longer be able to view that part of the sector trailer. Then the access bits in the middle dictate what each key is allowed to do. It is possible for a key to control any or all of the blocks in the sector and can control reading, writing, incrementing, decrementing, transferring and restoring of the block. We won't go into this in much detail except reading and writing. But if you want to learn more, you can search that up as well. Also, if you'd like to know more about how to configure the access block, then there are calculators online and you can make the access bits. A word of warning, however, I can't be responsible for you messing up your tag. This stuff can be really complicated and easy to mess up, so proceed with caution. There is one other special part of the Mifare Classic, and this is Sector 0, Block 0, just here. This is also known as the manufacturer's block, because it's set up by the manufacturer and is read-only. This sector contains the unique identifier of the tag, also known as the UID. The UID for a Mifare Classic can be either 4 or 7 bytes long. However, it's really rare to see the 7-byte Mifare Classic, and for that reason, again we'll be focusing on the 4-byte cards. In this case, the UID is 8E02-6F66. The manufacturer's block is deliberately made unique and causes a lot of issues when trying to clone a Mifare Classic. For example, let's consider that you're able to get your hands on a target Mifare Classic card. Then you're able to extract the keys, which we'll go into more in detail in video 2, and then you could write all of the data to a fresh Mifare Classic. The new Mifare Classic would be a near clone except for the manufacturer's block. This is where UID changeable, also known as magic Chinese cards, and as an implantable version, the xM1, come in hand. These tags are not Mifare Classic cards, but instead allow emulation of the Mifare Classic card with one big difference. You can write to the manufacturer's block 0 in sector 0, right here. This means that you can have a complete clone of a Mifare Classic card, and the reader would never be able to tell the difference between the genuine card and the cloned card. In part 2 of this video, we'll be looking at some useful commands that you can use with the Proxmark and the UID changeable xM1.